The moment Sarah set the coffee cup down, Marcus Chen's hand trembled so violently that the porcelain clattered against the saucer. His chest tightened. His breath caught. For 5 impossible seconds, he was staring at a ghost. It wasn't her face, not exactly. The waitress had darker hair, pulled back in a practical ponytail instead of flowing loose the way Elena used to wear hers. Her eyes were hazel, not brown. But the way she tilted her head when she smiled, the gentle curve of her mouth, the unconscious grace in her movements, it was like watching his wife move through the world again, 3 years after her funeral. "Sir, are you okay?" The waitress, her name tag read Sarah, crouched beside his table, genuine concern softening her features. Marcus blinked hard, forcing himself back to reality. "I'm fine. Sorry. You remind me of someone." Sarah's expression shifted to understanding, that particular sympathy reserved for grief that still bleeds fresh. She didn't press, didn't offer empty platitudes. She simply nodded and moved to the next table, leaving Marcus to stare into his untouched coffee at the small diner he'd wandered into after another sleepless night. He'd built a tech empire worth billions, employed 15,000 people across 4 continents, and had his face on the cover of Forbes twice. But he couldn't figure out how to stop existing in the past, where Elena still laughed at his terrible jokes and fell asleep on his shoulder during movies. Marcus watched Sarah work. She moved with efficient kindness, remembering the regular customers' orders, teasing the cook through the window, slipping an extra biscuit onto an elderly man's plate when she thought no one was looking. The diner was modest, tucked into a struggling neighborhood in downtown Seattle, the kind of place Marcus wouldn't normally find himself. But lately, he'd been driving aimlessly at night, ending up in strange places, trying to outrun his own thoughts. He returned the next morning. And the morning after that. By the 4th visit, Sarah greeted him with a knowing smile. "The usual. Black coffee and weak toast," Marcus confirmed, surprised she'd remembered. "You know, you can order something with actual flavor," she teased gently, scribbling on her pad. "We make a mean Denver omelet. Maybe tomorrow." But tomorrow, Marcus didn't order the omelet. Instead, as Sarah refilled his coffee, he heard himself say something completely insane. "Would you be my date for a day?" Sarah's hand froze mid-pour. Coffee splashed onto the table. "I'm sorry, what?" Marcus grabbed a napkin, mopping up the spill, his face burning. "I know how that sounds. I'm not. This isn't." He stopped, took a breath. "There's a charity gala this Saturday. It was my wife's favorite event. She organized it for years before she passed. I haven't been able to attend since, but this year they're dedicating it to her memory, and I can't not show up. But I can't walk in there alone, surrounded by couples and memories. I just need someone there. One day, I'll pay you whatever you want." Sarah set the coffee pot down slowly. "I'm not an escort service, Mr. Chen." Marcus Chen. He saw recognition flicker across her face. Most people knew the name, but she didn't react the way others usually did, with sudden deference or calculation. "And I'm not propositioning you. I'm asking for help. You remind me of her, and somehow that makes the idea of walking into that ballroom feel slightly less impossible." Sarah studied him for a long moment. Around them, the diner hummed with morning conversation, dishes clattering, the sizzle of bacon on the griddle. Marcus waited, feeling more vulnerable than he had in any boardroom negotiation. "I don't want your money," Sarah said finally. "But I'll go with you. On one condition. Anything. You donate what you would have paid me to the children's hospital instead. My daughter was treated there before she." Sarah's voice caught almost imperceptibly. "Before we lost her. 2 years ago." Marcus felt something crack open in his chest. "I'm so sorry." "Me too." Sarah's smile was sad but genuine. "Seems like we're both haunted by ghosts, Mr. Chen." "Marcus. Please." Sarah. "And I get off at 3 on Saturday. I'll need time to find something appropriate to wear." "Taken care of," Marcus said quickly. "Just text me your size and preferred style. Consider it part of the deal." Sarah looked like she might argue, then simply nodded. She slipped him a napkin with her number scrawled in blue pen before moving to the next table, leaving Marcus staring at 10 digits that felt like a lifeline he hadn't known he was reaching for. Saturday arrived wrapped in rain. Marcus sent a car for Sarah, half expecting her not to show. But when she stepped out in front of his penthouse, his breath caught again, not because she looked like Elena, but because she looked utterly, radiantly herself. The midnight blue gown his assistant had selected brought out the warm tones in her skin. Her hair was swept up, revealing a graceful neck. She moved with the same practical elegance she had in her waitress uniform, just translated into silk. "You look beautiful," Marcus said honestly. "You clean up pretty well yourself." Sarah gestured at his tuxedo. "Ready to face those ghosts." The gala was held at the Fairmont, in the grand ballroom where Marcus and Elena had celebrated their 10th anniversary. Walking through those doors with Sarah beside him, Marcus braced for the wave of grief that usually knocked him sideways. But something unexpected happened. Sarah slipped her hand into his, squeezed once, and suddenly the ballroom felt manageable. "Tell me about her," Sarah whispered as they stood at the edge of the dance floor, watching couples sway to a string quartet. And Marcus did. He told her about Elena's terrible singing voice that she inflicted on him anyway. About how she'd started this foundation to fund education programs for underprivileged kids because she believed every child deserved a chance. About the way she'd made him laugh even during the worst of her illness, right up until the end. "She sounds extraordinary," Sarah said softly. She was. "You would have liked each other." Marcus turned to her. "Tell me about your daughter." Sarah's eyes glistened. "Lily. She was 6 when she died. Leukemia. She loved dinosaurs and insisted on wearing her rain boots everywhere, even to bed. She had this laugh that sounded like bells." She paused. "After she died, I couldn't afford to keep our apartment. Lost my job because I missed too much work during her treatment. The diner was the first place that hired me when I finally crawled out of the darkness. I've been rebuilding ever since." Marcus felt something shift inside him, the understanding that grief was a landscape they both inhabited, that Sarah wasn't just a mirror of his past but a fellow traveler in the present. "Dance with me," he said suddenly. "I'm a terrible dancer." "Perfect. So am I." They moved onto the floor, and Marcus discovered she was right. She had no sense of rhythm whatsoever. She stepped on his feet twice, laughed at herself, and somehow that imperfection was more real than anything he'd experienced in years. Around them, people were staring, probably wondering who the mysterious woman was with the grieving CEO. But Marcus found he didn't care. "Thank you," he said as the song ended. "For being here. For being you." "Thank you for asking," Sarah replied. "I haven't felt like a person instead of just a walking wound in a long time." This helped. The evening wound down. During the tribute to Elena, Marcus found he could finally smile at the memories instead of just drowning in loss. When it was over, he walked Sarah to the car, neither of them quite ready to let the night end. "The hospital donation," Sarah said. "How much?" $15 million, Marcus said quietly. "In Lily's name." Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. "Marcus, that's what Elena would have wanted. What I should have done years ago. What your daughter deserved." He paused. "And I'm starting a scholarship fund. For children who've lost parents and parents who've lost children. To help them rebuild. If you'd consider letting me name you as a board member." Tears streamed down Sarah's face. "You don't have to do this. I'm not doing it because I have to. I'm doing it because today you gave me something I thought I'd lost forever, the ability to see forward instead of just backward. Let me do this, please." Sarah nodded, unable to speak. Then, impulsively, she hugged him, a real hug, fierce and honest and human. Marcus hugged her back, and for the first time in 3 years, he felt something other than numb. They didn't fall in love that night. That would come later, slowly, built on friendship and shared understanding and 2 wounded souls learning to be whole again. But in that moment, standing in the rain outside the Fairmont, they both understood that kindness and human connection could illuminate even the darkest grief. That sometimes strangers carry the exact medicine we need. That moving forward doesn't mean forgetting, it means honoring the past while opening your hands to receive what the present offers. "Same time next week?" Marcus asked. "Coffee at the diner." Sarah smiled, that familiar, graceful smile that had first caught his attention. "It's a date." And it was.